You want the best for your child. K-12 can help them gain the skills they need to reach their full potential while giving you the support you need to get them there. K-12-powered schools are tuition-free, accredited online public schools for students in kindergarten through 12th grade. Their state-certified teachers make online learning interactive and engaging, allowing your child to learn at their pace from the safety of home. Join the more than 3 million families who've chosen K-12. Go to k12.com/podcast today to learn more. That's k12.com/podcast.
Coverage varies by plan. View contracts and exclusions at endurancewarranty.com.
If you're driving a car or truck with an expired warranty and suddenly lost your transmission or needed a full engine repair, would a $4,000 repair bill leave you stranded? I'm Danica Patrick. Don't get caught off guard with a vehicle breakdown. Choose the company I trust. Endurance. No matter the mileage, if your vehicle is less than 20 years old, Endurance offers comprehensive auto protection plans for any budget. Protection on the drivetrain, electrical, transmission, AC, and more. Plus, benefits like 24/7 roadside assistance and rental car reimbursement on any plan. Endurance handles everything, from making the claim, through the repair process, to paying the certified mechanic of your choice. Don't get caught off guard with a vehicle breakdown. Act now and get 1 full year of elite benefits. A $2,000 value, free.
Visit EnduranceWarranty.com for your fast free quote today. That's EnduranceWarranty.com.
This is a podcast from Minute Media.
Warning, the following content may contain elements that are not suitable for some audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello, kiddies. This is yours duly, John Kassir, the voice of The Crypt Keeper. And you're listening to Slasher Radio.
Welcome to Slasher Radio. My name is Bones. Cat and Rob are here as always. What's going on, guys?
Hello.
Hi there.
Who? We have, this was good. We were talking last week. It was funny while I was editing it because I was like, oh, not going to be a Patreon pick. Womp womp. We had to push that back due to scheduling with our guest, Jeffrey Reddick. He's known for all kinds of stuff. Mostly Final Destination 1 and 2, the creator, the writer of both those films, most known for that. We got into a bunch of his different projects, and that was an awesome conversation with him, guys.
Yeah, he was a very nice guy.
Yeah.
Very nice. Knows a lot of horror stuff.
Mm-hmm. I love the part where he mentioned, like, somebody will mention they had a Final Destination moment around him, and he wants to say he was the creator, but then he doesn't. Because when he said that, I was thinking, man, if I had made Final Destination or any franchise, I would have T-shirts made up and I would just wear them all the time. It just said, I created Final Destination.
I honestly might get a T-shirt that says I created Final Destination.
like I would just, I would have like hundreds of those shirts. That would be all that was in my closet. I would wear it everywhere.
Like the ones with your face on it.
Oh boy.
That would be, it would be hard with a T-shirt though to like play it. Like if I get a T-shirt that says I created Final Destination and people are like, what's your T-shirt about? I'd be like, I met the guy that created Final Destination, and like, pay more attention to horror movie writers. And it would be a conversation starter. If I had actually created Final Destination and I wore a T-shirt that said that, they'd be like, did you create Final Destination? And I'd be like, yeah, but I don't really like to talk about it. That's like my T-shirt.
Yeah, that is the flip side. I guess maybe after a while you get kind of tired of talking about it.
And there's no way to be humble when you're wearing a T-shirt. Not that you would be, I guess.
Whoa.
You specifically.
I'm very humble.
Oh yeah.
You've got a T-shirt with your face on it.
Yeah.
I don't own one.
You just sell them.
Rob Humble Humphrey is what they call you.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of you being humble, this is a perfect segue. We just got done recording our weekly Patreon show. It's an extra show every week you get for being a patron. the fucking tier 2 and up on the Slash Radio Patreon, patreon.com/Slash Radio, tier starting as low as $3 a month, where Rob ranks the patrons.
Yeah, the patron power rankings. We do it quarterly.
Yes, Rob Humble Humphrey sits on his throne and looks down on everybody and makes a list on the type of person and quality of person they are.
I mean, I do that 24/7. It's just I actually acknowledge it and talk about it during this show.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But the conversation with Jeffrey is awesome. A very lengthy conversation. We usually, and that's another thing. We had, I forgot. We're gonna get in drink roll call in a minute. I've gotten pretty heavy on that. I forgot which one of you said it already, but yeah, a big horror fan Jeffrey is, and I really wanted to get more because he mentioned in the interview something about the old school, the originals, like a Universal monster type. He didn't exactly say that, but that's what I think he was alluding to. I really wanted to get into that and dig in and see what his favorites were, but we were just running so long. But I think we'll have Jeffrey on again when he has some other stuff, and I really can't wait to pick his brain about that.
That would be a fun conversation to have with him because we didn't really get into too much of that kind of stuff. It would be fun, and also he took a bit of a dig at Halloween 3 when we were talking to him, and I'd like to explore that a little bit more and find out what's wrong with him. Why doesn't he like Halloween 3?
Yeah, me too. Look forward to that very much. I don't know if he said he didn't like Halloween 3.
No, he didn't really. He just no.
He just said it was not a good. Yeah.
You'll hear it when he says it.
Yeah. Also, a long running. I don't want to say joke because I mean it very seriously, but a long running narrative. Argument, debate on the show was settled by Jeffrey. So we're proud of that one.
I don't know if it was settled.
It was settled. We'll call it settled. Yeah, but that was awesome. So we're not gonna have any new segment this week. We're just gonna kick you over to Jeffrey in a little bit because that was like an hour conversation.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting to get that much time with him, to be honest with you.
That's the classic writer's life, though, is like once you're already not writing, you don't want to go back to it. Where it's like,
yeah,
I interrupted my writing day also. I'm like mid-writing event right now, and I'm hoping that this lasts all night so I can just go to bed after and I don't have to like be productive.
Kat wants to do a bonus shark episode or something.
Yeah.
We didn't even ask him what his favorite shark movie is.
Oh God, we're slackers. Call him back.
If he says he doesn't like shark movies, like I just might ask him to marry me or something.
What if he says Sharks of the Corn?
I will unfollow him. I'm just kidding. I will unfollow. I think that was the thing though. It's like because you go into it and Jeffrey has a lot of stuff coming out and but as a writer, not really so much an actor or director, you can have a lot of stuff going on. Writing is more of a process and a mindset and all that. So and also not only the writing process, the actual which Jeffrey got into getting your stuff out there and done is a whole process in itself that he detailed. So you look at his work and there's not a giant list where it's like, oh, we could talk about a million things, but the stuff that he did being a writer, I'm sure Kat could talk to that a little bit more. There's just so much more passion and you could talk about it forever, which he did on certain things. And it was, you see it and they leave so much out and it's like hearing the real story with it. I love stuff like that.
Yeah. And then he's got an interesting story of how he got started.
Yeah.
You'll hear it when he tells it. It's quite entertaining and it's a lot of stuff.
Much funnier to hear from him than it was on the Wikipedia. Also,
yes. yeah.
Oh, also Wikipedia was right.
Wow, yeah.
Wild.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad because I use it as the official source for everything. So.
Is that where you learned how to use your Excel stuff?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's where I learned the formatting of spreadsheets. Yeah.
I'm surprised he even knew how to use the word format with spreadsheet, to be honest.
It's because you don't understand. We've been over this. Kat and I have a system, and you don't get it.
That system, huh, Kat?
You're not the only one that doesn't get it.
All right. Should we get into drink roll call? And then Kat has an update on Mr. Kat's boyfriend guy with Friday the 13th.
Well, I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah.
It's just a teaser because we've got well, we'll talk about it.
Okay.
Full list is coming soon.
All right. Well, drink roll call, Mikey. What you got?
Okay. I've been looking forward to this for a while now. I am drinking High Noon.
What is that?
I didn't know what High Noon was either. It's a drink in a can. I'm sticking with your can theme, Rob. It's vodka and soda with a pineapple flavor.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I've seen these.
Yeah. See, I listened to the Dave Portnoy show. You know, our Portnoy is named after him. And apparently his show is sponsored by High Noon. I said, holy shit. They made it sound so good. Yeah, the shit sucks.
Oh, it's hard seltzer. That's why.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
so it's like White Claw.
Yeah, and I'm not thrilled with it. I mean, I feel a little buzzed. So, I mean, but it tastes like shit. So maybe going forward, I'll mix it. Because I have like 5 more of these fucking things now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the bad thing about the cans.
Yeah.
Yeah. You end up with a bunch of them. So if it sucks, then you're screwed.
Yeah, this shit tastes like crap. Maybe also bringing up Dave Portnoy, maybe we and the listeners could start thinking of a new name for the Portnoys. Do you think that should be a thing?
The Humphreys.
No.
Oh.
I mean, it's not horror themed. You know, it was pretty much made off his One Bite pizza.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. I don't know. Kicking it out there. If the listeners come up with it, okay. But yeah, High Noon. Womp womp.
All right. The Humphreys. I'm just saying.
No.
The Robs?
No.
All right. Kat, what are you drinking?
I am drinking Zombie Killer.
Oh.
What is Zombie Killer?
It is a hard cider with honey and cherry.
Mm.
I'm not gonna lie, I got it mostly for the can because it says Zombie Killer, and I thought it would be a fun thing to drink on the podcast. But
Nice.
it's actually really tasty. It's got a very low alcohol content, but it's tasty.
Mm-hmm. It's a hard seltzer.
A hard cider.
A hard cider, yeah. That's what.
Yeah.
That's what I did last week with that that IPA skull thing. Yeah.
Sometimes that's just what you have to do.
It's been working out.
Yeah. I was a bartender here in town for a little while. And the college football coach would come into the bar and he would order hard cider, and I used to get so pissed off. Like, no wonder our team sucks, dude. You're a football coach. Shouldn't you be drinking bourbon on the rocks or something? What are you doing drinking a hard cider? Get out of here.
God. That would, by the way, Kat, that would kill me with the honey. I'm allergic to honey.
Oh no.
Yeah. So,
I'm gonna
Okay,
file
well,
that
don't
away.
have the Zombie Killer,
you know.
and also don't admit that to Rob.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a file. What are you going to fucking kill me? What the
I'm
hell?
just, this some information is nice to have. That's all I'm saying. Don't think anything of it.
Oh,
The box
police.
shows up and it's, dripping. Don't worry about it. Just open it up.
The police report needs to be made. People have to know about this. What are you drinking, Rob?
A Diet Pepsi. So here's the thing. I wanted to go to the liquor store because I'm out of booze, right?
Mm-hmm.
And but then my son and I, we went out to eat, and on the way home I couldn't really stop at the liquor store because he can't go in because of Indiana's stupid laws, so he'd have to wait in the car. And when I was a kid, my parents did that shit all the time. Like, we'd be in a bad neighborhood and everything. They'd be like, just lock the door and honk the horn if anything happens. And they just fucking leave me sitting in the car while they went in to get their booze, But now if I did that, even in a good neighborhood, the middle of the day, somebody fucking call the cops on me. And, so I couldn't do it then. And then I got home and, well, I just never made it back out to the liquor store. So I'm drinking Diet Pepsi. Although I did have a margarita at dinner.
Drink roll call was your idea.
I know.
Right? Okay.
I know, and it was fun at the time when I was drinking a lot. But
me and Kat are going out of our way to find all these cool fucking drinks to drink on the show, and you just keep coming with like glorified water that tastes like crap and Diet Pepsi.
It's liquid death.
It's shit. We've been
It's
over
not
this.
water. So, but yeah, Diet Pepsi tonight.
Unbelievable. I don't know why we bother doing this anymore. Like I'm drinking stuff like that IPA sucked last week. This High Noon is shit. Now I have a whole case of it. All for your drink roll on. You won't even drink. Like,
I'm finding new fun alcohols though.
Yeah. And I wanted to. I went out to dinner with my kid and then I just didn't get a chance.
Make sure Rob, you pulling that honk the horn if anything happens shit. And he's like looking at drinks with a horn going on. Like, who the hell's honking the horn like that? Just ignoring it.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, though. If I did that, seriously, like I'd come out of the liquor store and there'd be like 4 cop cars in the parking lot.
Okay.
So, and then, so it was like I'd have to bring him home and then I'd have to go back out. And the problem was I changed out of my jeans and into my pajama pants and then I was just in for the night.
So you can go to a liquor store in pajama pants.
No.
That's like the one place it's acceptable to that and Walmart.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I know damn well people do it at Walmart. I see them idiots all the time. Pisses me off. If I got to put on pants, so do you, dickhead.
Yeah, news for you. On Long Island, anywhere is acceptable to go in pajama pants. You will see a motherfucker out in PJ pants, and there's a chance it might be me. Don't care.
I will say lately, pajama pants are comfy.
They are.
I got really used to wearing them, and now it's
Yeah. No, I won't go out in them. The only thing I'll go out, like I'll walk the dog, and I'll be like take the dog out,
mm-hmm.
or whatever, or walk over to check my mail here in the apartments, or like if I'm going to run through the drive-through someplace, like if I'm hungry, I'm like, damn, I want some McDonald's. I'll just run through the drive-through. Then that's cool, but yeah, no, I'm not going to the liquor store in my pajama pants.
Why not?
Because people don't do that around here.
I do.
They do go to Walmart in them, though.
I did go through a Taco Bell drive-through in my underwear once. I had a shirt on.
That's acceptable, I think.
Yeah, right. I didn't get out of the car, right?
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, I did have to walk to my car in them though, but okay. They were long underwear. Anyway, the point is, pajama pants very acceptable on Long Island. People don't care.
Well,
just saying.
It's a little different here.
Well, that's your fault. But yeah, so all right, we'll kick you guys over to the interview with Jeffrey, and we will be back after that. And we will also have Mr. Cat's Boyfriend's guys Friday the 13th update. It's a nice hook. Everybody's gonna stick around for that.
Yeah. That'll hold them.
We are very happy to have you with us, Mr. Reddick. Thank you very much for taking your time out of your schedule to speak with us. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. It's a Saturday night.
It sure is.
So I get to relax and talk horror. So
yeah, and specifically your horror, for at least for now.
There goes my Saturday. I thought we were about your or okay, fine.
From IMDb, which we all know is so reliable, it shows your first credit as a writer for the original Final Destination film. Is that correct? Have you done anything before that?
That was my first credit. I was about to say Return to Cabin by the Lake, but that was actually after Final Destination. Final Destination was my first produced project. It wasn't my first paying gig. My first paid gig was to write a sequel for Pumpkinhead, which is one of my favorite, old school monster movies. And then, they hired me to write a kind of a scary straight up sequel. And then they hired somebody else to write the movie that came out. And then they went with the movie that came out. So that was my first paid gig. But Final Destination was my second paid gig.
I have heard that there are screenwriters in Hollywood that have go an entire career and never have anything produced, but somehow make a living. So I think that's pretty par for the course.
I know many that are doing quite well that have never had a movie produced. So, it's my goal is always I want to get something made. So it's funny you say that because I had a manager once and he was like, just write anything, Jeffrey, and I can sell it. I'm like, I don't want to write anything. I want to write something that gets made. And he said the same thing. He's like, I've got clients who are millionaires who've never had a movie made. And I was like, well, I don't want to be a millionaire with no movies made. And then cut to now, and I'm like, yeah, I would have maybe liked now being a millionaire with movies made sounds really fun.
Speaking of unreliable sources, I read a story on Wikipedia today, the most reliable source of all time, about you sending in your first treatment for Nightmare on Elm. Is that true?
Story. That is a true story.
No, I definitely wanted to ask about that because what an interesting start.
Yeah, it's a pretty fun story. When I was 14, I saw the first Nightmare on Elm Street movie, and I grew up in Eastern Kentucky, so I'm like this little hillbilly that lives out in the middle of the woods on a farm, and there's nothing about the movie industry, but I loved horror films, and I saw a Nightmare on Elm Street it was a double bill with Alone in the Dark, which was also a movie New Line Cinema put out, and the Nightmare on Elm Street just blew me away. It's my favorite horror movie of all time, but blew me away. And so I went home, and it was coming right out on VHS. So I found out the name of the company that put it out, called information in New York and got the number, and then called and asked what the name of the president of the company was. And so I banged out a prequel idea on a little typewriter and mailed it to New York. And he sent it back at first, and he's like, we don't take unsolicited material. And like I said, hillbilly, so I didn't know what unsolicited meant, so I had to look that up. And then I wrote him back. I sent it back to him, and I'm like, look, sir, I've spent $3 on your movies, so I think you can at least take 5 minutes to read my story. And he read it, and he got back to me with some comments. And his assistant, Joy Mann, who I give as much credit to for inspiring me, like, they just stayed in touch with me. Like, they would send me scripts, and because they were like, you need to learn writing, and they would send me scripts. And this was before New Line blew up, because Nightmare on Elm Street actually blew New Line up. So I kind of got them at a time where Bob Shea had time to write somebody back, and got him on a good day too. So they would send me movie posters and scripts to read, and then I would send scripts, and they would be like, "Oh, it got really good coverage, but you need to do this." And then when I started working there, when I was 19, I went to New York to study acting at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, and for the summer. And while I was there for the summer, I got an internship at New Line, and then I found all the old coverage on my scripts, and it was awful. And I was like, thank God they didn't tell me this when I was younger, or I would have quit writing. But it's a process. You learn and you grow. But I ended up interning at New Line, got an agent that summer, and then was like, screw school. I've got everything I need to be a superstar at 19. And I decided to stay in New York, and then cut to it was 10 years of hard work before I sold Final Destination. So, it's a fun story. It just kind of shows you, like, there's definitely persistence is important. Kind of being passionate about what you want to do is important, but there's also just a lot of luck and timing that comes into it.
I love the idea of a 14-year-old kid from Kentucky throwing shade at Bob Shea. That's just great.
I know. Well, I said sir.
That's amazing.
I said sir. I said sir, and
what did you say, sir? You could throw anything you want before.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's incredible, though. That your plan sounds like most 19-year-old plans, except yours worked out phenomenally. But yeah, how does that? Because you mentioned something, and again, I have very little actual knowledge of what goes on. I was hoping you can kind of open the curtain on that a little bit. You said you sold Final Destination, so I feel like in the world of film, from the audience standpoint, the director, I've always thought, just gets way too much credit, and the writers don't. The writers don't. So Final Destination, your baby, your idea. I feel like a lot of people think, and correct me if I'm wrong if this happens, the majority, a film starts rolling and then writers are brought in to create the idea. You had the idea already.
Yeah, and I think that perception, because I realized working in television, it's the complete opposite. That perception really started back when kind of directors like, Alfred Hitchcock and stuff started kind of demanding that their names be put above titles. And then, it really, then obviously when people go to see movies, they go to see the stars, the actors in it. So they don't really think about the writing. And then from the business side of things, it's really helped the studios to kind of stoke that idea that the writers aren't that important, because they have to negotiate because, from a business point of view, they have to buy the script first. But from a negotiating point of view, they used to negotiate with all the unions, but then they broke it up. So they negotiate with the directors first, who will do a deal that's not really favorable to writers. And then they'll do a deal with the actors. And then they deal with the writers last. So by the time they get down to our deals, they kind of have like really crappy baseline deals for the writers. That's why you always see writers having to go on strike. It's because, now they've kind of done that hierarchy. But yeah, just like a play, it all starts with the script. And then you go out and you get an actor or a director attached to it or a producer attached to it. Yeah, it's something that people don't think about a lot because, really the directors and the actors are the ones that are kind of out there doing a lot of the promoting for the film. So, yes, writers don't often get the recognition that they deserve. And again, like I said, a lot of that's a business kind of thing. I think if they had to hire directors first and then go find writers, they would probably have flipped it around and be putting the writers out there first to make them feel like they're super important.
As a writer, especially something like Final Destination, where you create this script and this world and everything, how hard is it to hand it over to somebody else and trust that they're going to make a good movie?
You know what? It's not. It's everything. It's always a process. I think the best thing that I learned when I was working at New Line Cinema is because I saw it happen so many times. This isn't specific to New Line. This was every studio. The decision on how they pick a script is often so arbitrary. Like sometimes you would see a great script come in, and then you also see a bad script come in with like a big actor attached, and then they would make the bad script, and they would try to make the bad script better maybe, but they would forget about the good script because the other one had like an actor attached to it. So there's so many decisions behind why a studio moves forward with a certain project that I learned to kind of separate my ego from it. And I also realized like it's a business. Like that's the thing when you work at studios, you realize they call it show business for a reason. It's it's about the business, and the creative stuff that we hold so important doesn't matter to them at all, in a way. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that every place is like that and every company is like that, but the bottom line, especially, it's gotten more so over the years because business people have been brought in to run studios. Whereas back in the old days, you had a lot of film lovers, people who grew up loving films running the studios. And then as they started merging and getting more corporate, you saw like it really is about the bottom line. So you have to pick your battles. You have to, but you also have to let it know, like when you're a writer, like you sell the copyright to your work. Like this is the only kind of art form where you sell the copyright to the ownership away to somebody else. Like artists will keep their copyright, but you commission them and you can buy prints of their work. But we have to basically sell ownership over to somebody else. So once that's gone, you have to, unless you're producing it yourself, you have to really learn to kind of let it go. You have a choice on where you want to go with it and stuff like that. But like with Final Destination, I mean, I had been through so many iterations on that. Because I wrote a treatment first. Originally, I used the concept as a X-Files sample only to get an agent, though we didn't submit it to the X-Files. And then when we decided, my friends at New Line were like, "This is a great movie idea. You should make it a movie." I approached some producers who'd used to work at New Line, because I knew that even though I'd worked there for so long, they'd kind of saw me as like, Jeffrey, the guy that, wrote Bob Shea the letter when he was 14. They didn't necessarily see me as a writer. So I'm like, well, let me bring some producers on board. And then I had the first treatment, that I wrote that was all adults, and then Scream came out, and then all of a sudden everybody was like, teenagers are hot again. Or I should say killing teenagers is hot again. So let's make them all teenagers. I'm like, okay. So I made them teenagers. And, they had a hard time really kind of wrapping their head around death being the killer, not showing it. But that was one thing that we were like very insistent on. I was very insistent on. And when I wrote the script, they went out actually, interesting, to Clive Barker first, who passed on it. And then I was in the office and Bob said, so what do you think about James Wan and Glenn Morgan, who work on the X-Files? And I thought it was, first of all, I love their work. But then I also thought it was very kind of synchronicity, or that, I'd originally envisioned this as an X-Files episode. And it was kind of going back to these guys. And I knew that they were really talented filmmakers. And they definitely did, they kind of reimagined a lot of the story. But I think the best thing they did was, my take was very much a Nightmare on Elm Street kind of version, where death, since it messed up the first time, came back and basically mind effed. I can't think of a better word at this time. Mind effed the kids, like, till they committed suicide. So it was a little darker than the Rube Goldberg kind of way that death gets them now. So I think that angle actually really helped make the movie a lot more palpable to people that maybe weren't hardcore genre fans like I am. I think it kind of put death all, kind of out there as something that could use everyday items and things around you, as opposed to like terrifying you into committing suicide.
That is so dark.
Yeah, but it still had a lot of fun too. I mean,
Right.
I know it sounds it sounds awful, but yeah, it was yeah.
No, honestly, it sounds amazing.
It does.
It does sound
Yeah.
very good.
But it still had the playful nightmare kind of vibe to it,
Right. So this all sounds so good. And the Final Destination idea that, behind your story, where did that come from? Because like you said, death being the killer is such an out there idea. But I have a friend of mine, and I've heard several people say, like, Final Destination scares the shit out of them more than any movie, because it's, it's so reality based in such a different way. So where did the whole concept in your head come up for the Final Destination in the first place?
I was reading an article. I was flying home to visit my mom and sister in Kentucky, and I was reading an article about a woman who was on vacation, and her mom told her, like, don't take the flight you're scheduled to be flying on tomorrow, because I have a bad feeling about it. And the woman changed flights, and the plane that she was supposed to be on crashed. So it was one of those stories in People magazine that was like, ooh, this is weird. And I'm on a plane and I'm like, oh, that is weird. And I think that's what put the idea in my head about missing a flight. And then I think that transferred into like having a premonition. And it didn't immediately, it wasn't like lightning strike, where I'm like, oh my God, this is a great movie. It was kind of in my head, percolating for a while. And then, I kind of came up with the idea of well, what if her mom didn't call her? What if she had a premonition? And, and then what if she was supposed to die in the crash? And what if death came after her? So that's how it kind of evolved into that. And then when I was trying to get a TV agent, they were like, well, write something for something that's on television. And I thought, oh, well, premonition would be a really cool way to, open up the episode if it's like one of Scully's, like her brother Charles is who was in the episode, who had the premonition, and then the people that got off the flight started dying, and everybody thought he was killing them, and they were trying to prove it wasn't him, and then you realize like death was kind of setting everything right. So yeah, it was an evolution of a process, and yeah, that was, again, not showing death was the hardest thing to kind of get the studio's head around, because they're like, we just, you can't fight it, and and we're like, that's the whole point.
Mm-hmm.
That's the whole point. That's, people are afraid of death. It's unavoidable. Yeah, I mean, the funny thing is we had to threaten to take it to another. We were like, we're going to take it to Miramax if you guys pass on this again. Because they didn't keep passing. They just kept saying, well, we're not sure, So we're like, if you guys don't get this now, we're going to take it to Miramax. And they're like, we'll take it. My only regret is that, I'm a lifelong horror fan. And it's like, I don't have any damn action figures. Like, that's the only regret about having an invisible killer. It's awesome having death be the killer, because it's, you don't see it, and we haven't really seen that done before. But every time I see a Freddy toy or a Jason toy or Mike, I'm like, damn it.
Well, actually, On that note, it's not the same as having a toy, but I think the cultural phenomenon of Final
You know what?
Destination, specifically the second
Yes.
one,
The truck memes.
the
Yes.
truck memes.
Yes.
My boyfriend, who is horrified of Final Destination, like I can't get him to sit down and watch it with me because he's spooked. But he switched lanes the other day to not be driving behind a logging truck, and I was like, is this a Final Destination thing? He's like, maybe.
No, I have to. I actually do have to say I should take the toy thing back because, people always they always ask, well, did you know it was going to become as big as it did? And I was like, I always hope for a sequel, like you always hope for that. But 22 years later to and again, the funny thing about the log truck scene was that was another thing. Like I'd written the story, but Craig Perry, who's the producer on the whole franchise, who I adore, originally I had a hotel fire. Like the kids were going to spring break and they were staying in a hotel and there was a huge fire. And he's like, it just doesn't. I don't know. I want need something more. And again, I was going back to Kentucky. go Big Blue. I was going back to Kentucky to visit my family. I got behind a log truck and I pulled into the next lane. And then I pulled off the freeway and I called Craig and I was all like out of breath. I'm like, what about what? And he's like, dude, slow down. I can't. What about a log truck on a freeway and the chain breaks? And he's like, that's the opening. And it's those kind of moments where it's like, because I still I'm not exaggerating, pretty much every other day. Almost I'm tagged on something with something stacked up, but behind somebody and people talking about Final Destination. So the idea that and I've heard people before, it's where I've been out at like the coffee shop or whatever, and I'll hear somebody being like, oh man, we had a Final Destination thing happen earlier, and I'm just like, I want to be like, I did that, but I don't. But it's actually you can't. I'm so grateful for that. Like you can't. That's better than a toy.
I was gonna say, scrolling down your Twitter, it's like every day you get tagged. It's like you're retweeting something of somebody with the damn truck, and talking about how does it feel to be able to have. Because I mean, even personally, I feel that the second Final Destination is just. To me, I enjoy watching that more than the original, and that never happens. Like it's so rare. So how does it feel to be able to recreate that magic and have even maybe a longer lasting effect the second time around with a sequel?
Well, what I've said, and I actually the second one is my favorite.
Yeah.
The first one is so special for so many reasons. A being that it's the first one. B, working with Tony Todd for the first time, working with Devin Sawa for the first time. The rest of the cast is amazing as well, but I've just gotten, I adored Tony Todd for so long, and getting to be friends with him and getting to be friends with Devin. I love the movie, but I think the reason I like the second one more is because I got to do stuff that I love to do with sequels. Because the first one was very much, we had to change stuff around a lot, again, even going from adults to teenagers, and it was such a hard thing to get set up. And in the second one, I got to, the idea was like, I wanted to start off the story where you thought we were following another group of teenagers, and then kill them all off except for Kimberly. So, I wanted to kind of do a fake out with that where you're like, oh, this is going to be another teen version sequel, and then it's like, oh shit, they just killed them all off. And I got to bring I originally had planned to bring Devin and Allie back. So in my story they both came back, but we could only get Allie back. But that's another thing that as a horror franchise nut, like I love it when people from the original film return. And I also wanted to explore how the people who cheated death in the first film, them being alive when they shouldn't have been, actually had a ripple effect and affected other people's lives too. So I got to kind of expand on the mythology rather than just setting up another movie or another premonition. I got to expand mythology and show like, oh, we're all kind of connected. So those kids being alive when they shouldn't have been in the first movie actually impacted all these other people So it was just it was just, for me, it was a lot more fun because I got to play, and EyeRChris and J. Mackie Gruber. I wrote the story for that one, but they came in and wrote the script, and they did an amazing job of getting the humor, because again, for me, I do like scary horror, but I also like entertaining horror. I don't want to say fun horror, but I like entertaining people with the horror stuff, like creeping them out, but also entertaining them. And I think that the second movie kind of got that balance right, about having the oh shit shocks. And plus that freeway scene is probably one of my favorite top 5 openings of a horror movie.
Absolutely. Do you have a favorite? This is kind of along that line. Do you have a favorite death from the franchise?
I mean, there's a couple that strike me for different reasons. Like Todd's death in the first one in the bathtub. And when I say favorite, I just mean more that sticks with me the most.
Right.
Todd's death in the bathtub sticks with me just because I think Chad Donella did such a good job in that, and it was directed so well, and I felt so bad for him. It just really, I felt horrible for him. Of course, the bus splatter is like the most fun scene to see in a theater with anybody. But I think I think the one that I'm only going by my gut reaction, but the one that made me like jump out of my seat and yell was the gymnastics scene in the last one in part 5. That was, it takes a lot to like make me freak out, but I was literally watching an early screening of that movie, and when that gymnastics scene ended, I was like, shit. So
we were talking about that one just recently on our show.
We just did Final Destination 5, and I haven't seen it in a while, and that was pretty much my reaction. I was saying, I said, holy crap. Like, what? Yeah. Comes from out of nowhere.
Yeah, and I don't know if a body would do that, but holy crap, it was like yeah.
That is funny. Also, by the way, as I'm sitting here thinking, Tony Todd action figures for Final Destination. No,
I mean, they could.
Cool.
Those
little
would be
coroner
cool.
trucks to like follow
little
people
corner
around.
trucks. Yeah, that would be awesome. I had thought about that.
Yeah, Tony Todd, anything would be awesome.
Anything's awesome.
Yeah.
I saw he did a one-man show here about I think it was the first African American boxer to win a title, and it's a long show. It's over an hour with no break, and it's just him. And this was like maybe a year and a half. No, it was right before COVID. It was like a year before COVID. But it's just him on stage for over an hour, just mesmerizing, and going through like the whole emotional gamut of being like, a fighter, and then broken, and then just everything. And he's I keep forgetting he's like a theatrically trained actor. He's so amazing. And then after the show, I was talking to him, and he's like, man, I messed up 2 lines. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, first of all, I couldn't tell, but at all that there was anything. But dude, you just tore that stage up for like a long time. Yeah, he's amazing, and just such a kind-hearted, good person.
If there's anyone that could hold your attention for an hour with just one guy on stage talking, it would be Tony Todd, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was one of the, that was one of the biggest, blessings of this franchise is, when they said they were bringing Tony Todd on board, I'm like, you mean Candyman? What?
When looking at the highly suspect sources online, again, listed in your credits, the first 2 Final Destinations, none of the other sequels, were you involved in those at all?
Not technically. I mean, I'm listed as a creator of them since I, kind of created the franchise, but I've been involved through either being friends with the directors and writers, because they brought some of the same people back, and through Craig Perry, and so I'm always like in the loop on what's going on with them. Like I've Guy Busick and his writing partner Stephanie are working on the new one. They worked on the Ready or Not and the Scream remake. So, they were very cool and had a Zoom call with me before they started working on the script. And so, I've stayed involved in it. Like I love the franchise. I'm very much, for me, I've always seen this as like, there's so many ways that death can get people. Like I've always kind of pitched why don't we do a Death Has a New Design and kind of do something else? But again, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So they like the Rube Goldberg angle, which I totally understand. Like you don't want to get too far away from formula, but I would definitely be interested in trying to. I wouldn't go as crazy as like Halloween 3, where it was like a completely different genre or anything like that. But I don't know. I think death it's just a fascinating subject that it would be interesting to kind of expand the mythology and maybe Death's MO even more. But I do understand that the whole Rube Goldberg thing is what really makes it rock with people. Like how is death going to use everyday objects around me to get me? So I definitely understand why the studio wants to kind of stay in that kind of realm with it. But, if I did come back to it, I'd love to like try something new with it.
Right.
It does increase the paranoia if anything around you can kill you at any time.
Yeah. It keeps it grounded.
I'm glad that you mentioned the new one though, because that was something I had wanted to ask about. Do you know anything? Can you tell us anything? Is there?
I mean, I can't. I mean, I know things. Yeah. I mean, all I can say is like, and this isn't just like being a shill, for like the movie.
Right.
No, it's not. But I'm actually really excited by what they've come up with. The writer of Spider-Man actually came up with the story. I'm blanking on his last name just because I'm on the spot right now, and I'm afraid to try to switch on my phone to the internet because I'll hang up on the call. But it's very much still a Final Destination movie, but it's also like, it's not anything like crazy, like whatever they keep coming up with all these weird names for stuff. Like it's not a requel or anything. It's not anything crazy. But it is not your typical, have an accident, death starts knocking off the survivors. It's different than that. That's all I can say, but it's very much a Final Destination movie. And I think it's a really, really smart way. I'm really excited about it.
It's interesting too. I didn't know we had Jamie and Guy on on our show, obviously discussing Scream when it came out. I didn't know they were involved in the new Final Destination project, and kind of like they said what they went through, with previous writers on Scream, and reached out to you like they did with them, and the passion that they have for the stuff that they work on. I'm actually very much more excited now knowing they're involved with it, just knowing everything they bring to the table as far as wanting to do things right and appreciating what came before it and all that stuff. So that's really good news to hear. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, no, I thought that's it was really nice because we had a really wonderful conversation, and like they're fans, and I'm kind of the same way. Like if I do a book adaptation or something like that, it's like I want to talk to the writer of the book because it's like I want to try to make sure that I'm keeping the spirit of stuff, even if I have to change stuff to fit a movie format. Like I don't want to lose like stuff that's really important to the writers. So I was able to kind of give them some of the stuff that give them some of my initial kernels of stuff, and then also kind of throw in a couple things that I had kind of that were in my mind that kind of got tweaked a little bit from the movie that I thought would be interesting to kind of revisit. So they were super gracious, and I'm just really excited. I'm excited. I mean, right now, this is like all over the news, so it's not anything, but Disney or the Discovery Channel bought HBO Max, which is where it's going to come out on, and Warner Brothers. I think just Warner Brothers Digital, but I don't think it was all of Warner Brothers, but so there's some delays now because they're still at the writing phase. I think they're almost done with the script, but people keep tweeting me going, "When's the movie coming out?" I'm like, they haven't even finished the script yet. They're still working on it. It takes time.
Horror fans are notoriously impatient, I think.
I know, which is fine. I understand. I'd be impatient too. I want the movie out yesterday as well, but
keep in mind, Jeffrey, this is coming from the guy who threatened to fight Jason Blum if Halloween didn't come out when it was supposed to. So
he's still threatening.
Yeah, don't take Rob too seriously.
We have changed it because I found out that Jason Blum works out and he's in a lot better shape than I am. I'm just going to show up at his house with a tub of popcorn on the date, and I'm going to tell him I'm here to watch Halloween Ends.
That's so funny. That is so funny.
Yeah,
I know. I the other night. I mean, this is off on a tangent, but I remember, I sit up and watch The Boys when it drops, and not this last week's episode, but the week before that, it would drop like 20 minutes late or something, and so I'm sitting up at midnight, and then I'm like, I get on Twitter, and people are like freaking out, and I am getting annoyed because I'm like, I stayed up till midnight, waiting for this. But then I was like, well, I'm damn sure not going to bed now until it drops. But yeah, we all get a little impatient now with the, we want our stuff yesterday. But no, I'm excited. I think, the timing's right I think the timing's been right for a while for the new one, but I think now we're kind of in this streaming age, especially, and, HBO Max is a very strong streamer, and they want to put some, they're definitely up in their game as far as like getting people to subscribe to HBO Max, and they've got a lot of great shows on there already, and I think they're going to put the money behind it to make sure it's just as good as the best of the rest of the other ones, and I'm excited to see what they do with it.
You mentioned working on like adapting books or whatever. From what I see here, you wrote the adaptation of one of my favorite zombie films, Day of the Dead. Is that a daunting project? I mean, that's like such a legendary and classic property. Is it daunting to look at that and go, okay, we're going to remake this. How do I write this?
Yeah, and it's funny because at the end of the day, the movie itself is a really fun zombie movie. It should not be called Day of the Dead. At the end of the day, that's where it's at. That's where it landed. Like it's that with the end product, they should have just called it Zombies Attack a Town or something like that. And it's a fun movie. It's got a really good cast, and Steve Miner was directed it. And I end with that because then I have to start back at the beginning, because yes, when I first met with him, they had the rights to remake Day of the Dead, but they couldn't connect it to the other movies. They could only, you know what I'm saying? So it couldn't be a continuation of Dawn of the Dead. It had to be its own kind of standalone movie using the elements from Day of the Dead. So they already had Steve Miner hired, and they were going to make the movie. So they asked me to come in and pitch. And so I went and I pitched, I came up with a pitch that was very close to the original, but updated it somewhat. You know what I'm saying? Like it still took place mostly, in a military facility, in a kind of bunker situation. And it was more of a Dawn of the Dead version of Day of the Dead. It still honored a lot more of the film. Mm-hmm. And I knew going in, like I told Steve and the producers, I'm like, we're going to get murdered if we make the best version of this, because even Zack Snyder got killed by the fans, and that movie was fucking awesome. So I'm like, we're going to get murdered no matter what we do. So I said, we have to be as respectful as possible. And they were like, yes. And then after they hired me to write the script, they started making me, and I'm not passing the buck, but literally they started making me change stuff like all the time. And it got to the point where if you see interviews with me when I first got hired to write it, because I base this solely off my treatment, I'm like, the fans are going to be, I think, really excited with the movie. And then if you read later interviews with me, I'm like, it's a movie, because it changed so much that I literally had to call my manager and tell him, like, you have to tell him I can't change this anymore, because it's just turned into a completely different movie than what I was hired to write. And it was because they just kept second guessing themselves, and they're like, well, we haven't seen this before, so why don't we make the younger characters like 13? I'm like, but they're carrying machetes and machine guns. Yeah, but we've never seen that before. That'd be cool. I'm like, no, that's stupid. That's why we haven't seen it before. So there were just so many that turned into like such a, while it was happening, it turned into a stressful process. Again, at the end of the day, because there's a couple things. I always have to remember how fortunate I am to be able to be making movies and get a movie made. So unless a movie's like a complete nightmare piece of shit, I'm not gonna, you know what I'm saying? And I was behind the scenes doing it. I'm not gonna, I'm grateful for, just being able to work in the field I love. So, but I also have to process stuff creatively. So when something turns out different than I imagined, there comes a point where it's like, I can watch Day of the Dead. I'm like, yes, there's some, I don't necessarily like the sped up zombie stuff. And there's some stuff I don't like, that's just not my cup of tea, but it's still a fucking fun movie. Like I show it to people who aren't George Romero fans and they're like, this is a fucking really fun, bloody movie. And it's a good movie. It's got a good cast in it. But yes, if you're a diehard George Romero, which I am a diehard George Romero fan, it's not like Tom Savini's remake, which was so much closer to the original, which I really enjoyed too. So yeah, it's daunting, but at the end of the day, I was like, you know what, somebody's gonna make this. And in my egoist way, I was like, well, at least if I make it, I can make it as close to the original as possible. And then that kind of started changing. And I was like, oh, that's how people start off with good intentions, but the movie doesn't end up where because you think you're going to have all the control, but you're just the writer. And everybody else has all the stuff they want you to put in there.
And that's the conversation we have, on our side of the screen, and it's very interesting to hear, with all this going on, the actual making of these projects, that, you have these conversations and these, kind of, I don't want to call them debates, but you know what I mean? Like there's just stuff in there where even you as a writer is like, it's compromising. And, we sit on the couch and we watch it and we go, well, what were they thinking? Did they know this? And it's good to hear that it's discussed, and there are, there are those debates, which is wild, but yeah, there's such a fine line when you're remaking something with the integrity of the originals and, updating it for a new audience.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it's and again, you're stepping into, you're stepping into like a minefield anyway. Cause again, horror fans are great, but there's definitely, they're protective of their babies. But, the thing I think people have to realize is, the thing that I always have to remind people, because they're always like, why do they keep making stuff? Right, I guess writers are out of new ideas. It's like, no, we have plenty of new ideas. We're always pitching new ideas, but this people that are financing the movies are worried about covering their investment. So are they going to invest in a movie that's new, or are they going to invest in a remake? They're always going to come back to doing a remake. Like they come to us. Like we don't go to them saying, hey, we want to remake. I want to remake Final Destination. Like we don't do that. They come to us saying, hey, we just got the rights to this old horror movie. We're going to remake it, because it's a safer bet for them, because they know there's an audience out there that's already seen it and will probably come back and see it again. Right. So it's completely the business side that's making all these decisions. It's not the writers that are like, I don't have any ideas. Let me try to remake, because whoever owns the rights of the movie, they're the ones that are going out saying, hey, we're making this movie. We're making this movie now. So yeah, it's not like the writers don't have a lack of original material. It's just like, we got to get the people to give us the money to make it. And they're going to put their money behind, again, either now it's all about IPs, books that are already made, or video games, or something that's already out there in another form. It's all about the existing, intellectual property that's out there, So the business has changed. It's gotten better now, I think, with all the streamers and all, there's so many more outlets now. So that's the positive, is there's more ways to get your work out there. But it's also, the whole business model has changed from how it was when I when I was starting out. Like when I started out, a studio would buy your script and then you'd hire a director and hire an actor. Now you go out with the script to like producers or studios and they're like, well, who's the actor attached? And I'm like, that used to be your job. Like, like I can't attach an actor unless you want to if you want to pay their fee.
Right.
So it's like a lot of the stuff that they used to do now, they expect the writers or creators, creatives to do that work for them and kind of bring them something, that's already got like a director and a star attached.
It's really sad to see too, because I feel what you mean by that. And going back to the remakes and studios covering, trying to get those people to come in the door from existing stuff, because you see things, and I'll use Child's Play just because it's the best example off the top of my head. If they would have named it something else and got away from that Child's Play thing, I feel like the story and what they did for that movie was so good. If it was its own thing, it could have maybe started its own franchise. And I feel like a lot of these studios or whoever's in charge of, the actual of all that stuff, they don't trust their writers and actors even enough to carry something. And that's a shame, because you get a lot of stuff that has great work in there and it's just got some, existing thing attached to it, and it kind of ruins it.
Yeah. No, I think because there's an expectation when it's a certain movie, like, they could have called it Robot Doll, Robo Doll, Stabby Robo Doll. Yeah,
I would so buy a ticket to see Stabby Robo Doll.
That sounds like a slasher radio movie right there.
Unfortunately, it does.
I just watched your film Don't Look Back today, and you did a tremendous job. And have you considered or is moving into directing something you're looking at more, or was that just you wanted to try it?
No, that's something that's something I've wanted to do. I've not been one of those people who that's always been my goal. It's kind of, there are just a couple scripts that I have that I want to direct. And I did a short called Good Samaritan that was based off one of the characters from Don't Look Back.
Mm-hmm.
It's online, but it's a straight up kind of horror version of the feature. And with the feature, the thing I loved about it when I wrote it was that it's more of a mystery, because the horror part of me, having grown up reading Fangoria, having so many horror directors go, this isn't really a horror movie, it's a psychological thriller. I'm like, fuck you, it's a horror movie. Because they're saying it like horror is a dirty word. But for this movie, that's true. Like when I first wrote it, when I was developing it, with the producer, I had kind of a horror version that I was going to write. And then the producer was like, why don't you make this more of a what's doing it? Like, we don't know if it's a supernatural killer, if it's a real killer. And I thought that, as a creative exercise, I think that was really fun to write. But it's funny because as a horror director, as a horror writer who's known for Final Destination, I kind of knew, there's part of it that knew like fans are going to be expecting it to be like supernatural horror film. So I knew there was going to be some issues with the fact that we didn't A, have the Final Destination budget, and B, I couldn't really show the kills because, I'm not going to spoil anything, obviously, for people who haven't seen it, but you don't know if it's a killer or if it's something supernatural after these people. So you can't really show them as they're getting killed or dying because you can't give away, what it is. So it's definitely more of a mystery than a horror movie. But I had a lot. I had a lot of fun doing it. Learned a lot of stuff. Got to work with some really talented people. So, so I had a lot of fun doing it. Yeah. But it's funny. I immediately go into like, but horror fans, it's not going to be like big budget blood fest of Final Destination. But yeah, no, I have a couple other projects that I'm going to be directing that are going to be straight up horror, which I'm excited about. So one's going to be like a supernatural horror film, and one's going to be a slasher movie. So I'm going to get to do my slasher movie.
Nice. Now, not that you need my advice, but if I were you, I would try to get Courtney Bell in as many of those movies as you can. She's terrific and Don't Look Back.
She's fucking phenomenal.
Yeah,
And
I mean, she really carries that movie. She's great.
And she's a wonderful actress, wonderful person. She just directed like a pilot that's making the festival rounds, I think. I hope I'm not allowed to say that, but it's so funny because for me, especially just being a filmmaker, who's of color, like I've seen so many times where we passed up really amazing Black actresses for leading ladies in my stuff, where they came in and were amazing, like the best actresses by far, but then it would be like, well, if internationally it's not going to sell as well, or middle America's not ready for a Black leading lady. Like I've heard that since Final Destination. Like it's just been, that's a much bigger conversation we're having now, as far as diversity in film. But the people that watch these movies don't seem to realize, it's not that they don't seem to realize, but they don't know that, behind the scenes on the business end of it, like, again, like literally in so many auditions, like a Black or Latina or an Asian actress has been like the best actress that we saw, like by far, for a role. But then they're like, well, she's not white, it's not going to sell as well. So they just weren't ever considered for leading roles. And so now we're seeing that change so much. But I was really glad that I got to cast Courtney in my first film. And I actually saw her, she had auditioned, but then she'd also had a website up that had a bunch of shorts that she'd done. And I noticed that in every short, she was completely different. Like she, was funny. And then in another short, she was like really serious. And then she was very vulnerable. And I'm like, oh, she's got everything. She's got everything I want for for Caitlin, the leading lady. And, and the camera loves her too. She's beautiful, but she's also like, yeah. And she's got a great scream.
Yeah,
she's a great screamer. Screaming is important.
While we're talking about some of your older work, can I ask how close you've talked about the creative differences, kind of the original getting morphed. How close would you say that Tamara was to the original script?
The funny thing is, I will say that Tamara is probably the closest to the original, but with a big caveat. That's why I ended up writing a book adaptation and put there again. But originally Lionsgate was going to put it out, and we ended up having some independent producers produce it. And Jeremy Happ, the director, is amazing. The cast, I love that fucking cast. But they watered down a lot of the script. Because when I wrote Tamara, because this was coming at a time in my life when I was like, everybody kept saying, right, come up with something like Final Destination. I'm like, oh, sure, I'll just pull another one out of my ass, give us a high concept. Oh, that one's too much like Final. So I'm like, let me just write it something fun. And Carrie obviously is an influence on Tamara. I love the idea, of, I don't love the idea of bullying because I was bullied as a lot growing up. But, I love the idea of a character who's bullied who gets power and comes back. But with Carrie, I'm like, you have to wait till the end of the movie. So I'm like, I want to do a movie where you get to see the whole movie is, this put upon girl like getting this power and coming back, and wreaking revenge on her tormentors. And but there was they just toned down a lot of stuff, like in the original script. In the original script, like Chloe, the lead character, was a lesbian, so she was coming out and having trouble with that. And you know how Tamara kind of takes each kid's kind of fear or something they've done and turns it on them. So that kind of paid off at the end of the movie when Chloe's parents like show up at the hospital and try to kill her. And that happened. Well, that didn't happen to me, but when I came out to my mom, like, and she ended up, coming around very quickly. But literally the first thing my mom said to me when I told her, she's like, you might as well have stuck a knife in my heart. Like that was the first thing she told me. And so that stuck with me. And so I kind of played that out in the film, and they were like, well, we can't really afford parents because we don't have the money. So let's just cut all that out. I think it was more the subject matter. And then my biggest issue is I'm assuming everybody's seen it, and if not, I'll be vague enough. But my biggest issue is the way she gets back at the jocks, or the jock and his kind of stoner friend, because their whole subplot in the script was that they had date raped some girls, and so her revenge on them was putting a spell on them, and she made one of the guys rape the other guy, and that was in the script. Lionsgate loved it. Nobody had a problem with it. And I get a call the day before they're shooting the scene, and they're like, well, how much do you want us to show? And I'm like, well, it's not a sex scene. It's a rape scene. So show whatever you would show if you were showing this happening to a female character. Like, this isn't about sex. And then I saw the movie, and they pussed out on it so much, like, that they have her making out with the guys first, which she would never have done. And then she pushes their faces together, and then they kiss and they fall out of frame. And then later on, they're under the sheets with all their clothes on. So it turned into this whole thing where it's like, she made him gay or something ridiculous. So they softened a lot of that stuff up. That
I was
really
gonna ask about that, because
yes,
that was like, I think my biggest complaint about that was one of my favorite movies as
that's one of my favorite. Yeah,
a kid, but like that was my biggest problem with it.
Yeah,
and I'm sure that wasn't intentional.
no,
But
it wasn't intentional on my end, and I was livid when I found out when I saw it. I'm like, guys, do you realize like this is a complete opposite of this? And yeah, I was furious, and it all was like silly, because it was like it was, there was some behind the scenes stuff going on with I don't want to call out any people, but it just was ridiculous, and it completely turned the movie again. I always say Tamara's like the after school special of the R-rated movie that I wrote, because it's just got that soft edge, because they took out a lot of the stuff that really would have pushed it. I think because Lionsgate was going to put it out theatrically, but when they saw the film, and this isn't shitting on the film at all, it's just, again, it's just a softer version of the script that I wrote, and they decided to put it out on video as opposed to giving it a theatrical. But that movie is very close, except for stuff that they kind of trimmed out and took, that they toned down. That's very close to the script. So that's kind of one of my favorites, because I also loved, I just love some of Tamara's like bitchy dialogue when she comes back from the dead. She's got so many great one-liners in that movie.
does it make you wish at all that you were able to make that now? Because I think
I was going to ask
that original script would pass a lot easier today with. Maybe I'm wrong, but
No,
I
it
feel
would.
like
It
a streaming
would.
service would pick this
Yeah,
up and
no.
maybe not have to tone it down so much.
Yeah, no, I think it would, and trust me, I've thought about it. There's a bunch of, because there were so many small production companies that ended up getting the rights to it to make it, and they're all tangled up right now. But that's actually one that I've thought about revisiting, just because I had plans for that one, especially when Lionsgate was going to originally put it out. I had plans to kind of make that kind of a trilogy of films. Not to sound like pretentious,
see a Tamara trilogy.
but yeah, like, because I mentioned her mom, but I was going to bring her. I already had the idea for the sequel, bringing her mom back, and resurrect. Yeah, I had stuff planned out for it.
That would be a fun trilogy. Yeah.
How do we get in contact with HBO Max?
Well, no, that's Lionsgate, but yeah, no, it's yeah. The funny thing is, I've thought about that, but then I've also been like, I could write another movie with somebody getting bullied and coming back. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I don't know. Tamara. I do say out of all my films is my, after Final Destination is my favorite, because even despite, again, and it's a process, because I was on set and everybody's exciting and it's wonderful, but just, again, once the movie comes out, you kind of have to let go of the stuff you had in your head. But I will say, the lesson that I learned directing my own film, especially on a ultra low budget, is when I directed it, I was like, why don't they make the movie that's in my head? But then I realized, like, you have to have a lot of money to make the movie that's in your head. Like, so even when I directed Good Samaritan, like so much of the stuff, or Don't Look Back, so much of the stuff in Don't Look Back is not how I had envisioned it in my head, because we just couldn't afford to do it that way. Like, we had a limited number of days, access to certain locations. Like we just, like we didn't have like tens of millions of dollars to like build like sets that you know what I'm saying? Like, so I couldn't make the movie that was in my head because we didn't have the money to do it. So I definitely learned a new appreciation for what people can pull off on a low budget doing my own film. And then I was like, oh, that's why a lot of the movies I write, the movie isn't like it's in my head, because they couldn't afford to do it. Like it's that simple.
One question that I had for you specifically, because we have you on during Pride Month. I was wondering if you had any like movie, TV, book recommendations.
That's a good question. I haven't. That's so funny. No, that's the one question nobody's asked me, and it's been a whole Pride Month. You know what? There's some. Let me. Oh, okay. It depends. It depends. Like if you're interested in like the kind of historical kind of history of gay horror, like one of my friends, Paul Etheridge, did, and he did this right out of film school with no money. So this, I preface it by saying that, but he did a movie called Hellbent, which was like, kind of when it first came out, it was like the first like released by a distributor, like slasher movie, gay slasher movie, that came out in the I think early 2000s. Again, very small budget, but a really fun kind of gay slasher film. There's a lot of stuff on TV that I feel like not a lot of horror. There's not a lot of horror. I think I like The Boys. It's got a lot of butts in it. And it's a great show. And lots of fake penises. And then Euphoria has real penises. But it's not all about penises for Gay Pride. I'm just joking. We have to laugh a little bit with what's going on in the world right now. So I should be a lot more up on my on my gay stuff, but
it's hard. The intersection of gay and horror is not a big enough section.
It's not.
Yeah,
this is a question I get asked a lot, and I'm just kind of pushing the responsibility onto our guest host. But...
Well, it's funny because the funny thing is there's so many gay filmmakers in the genre, like Kevin Williamson and Don Mancini, myself. Greg Berlanti does a lot of sci-fi stuff. Like all of his stuff on CW is very interesting. The Chucky series on TV had a really wonderful kind of gay character in the lead, and a kind of a cute little, it's obviously high school gay love story, but a cute gay love story at the center of it, amidst all the blood and viscera. But I think Don Mancini, has been, has had inclusion in a lot of his films for a long time. Scream had they kind of trumpeted it as a big, yay, a lesbian character. And I'm like, well, she kissed a girl in one scene. But other than that, you didn't know she was a lesbian. But, I think the funny thing is, and I've lived in, aside from Kentucky, I lived in New York and Los Angeles, but there is a huge, gay audience for horror. Like every time I go opening night, it's like there's a gaggle of gays and lesbians in the theater because we love horror films. So it's only natural that there be representation. And I honestly have found for the super most part, like the horror community is very accepting, because I think a lot of times just the horror fans in general have kind of always grown up feeling a little bit like they don't fit in and kind of know what that's like. So I've never really experienced homophobia at like a fan event or anything like that. Like I know that there are guys out there somewhere and people out there somewhere that probably do. But, I think, the horror community is the most accepting that I've seen in general. I think if you give them good scares, I think it's about representation. I mean, I've had characters, like I said, Tamara is a prime example where, I just had characters de-gayed, like Chloe, it's just, she's just there now. And everybody's like, why did she hook up with Jesse? I'm like, cause she's a lesbian. They took it out. But I think that it's, I think that that's something we're going to see change. So just because, the reality is like, we're part of the human race, just like everybody else. So we're going to pop up in horror films. We're going to pop up in any genre film. And there's that pushback now where everything, if you show diversity at all, or, I remember when the first image for Jurassic Park came out with like Chris Pratt and the African-American woman on the bridge holding flares. And I saw a bunch of idiots on Twitter going, oh my God, this movie's woke. I'm like, what the? It's just because it's got a black woman in it. It's woke now because it has a black woman in it. Like, so people are getting very like pushbacky about certain things. And again, I don't like that term woke because for so long people kept saying you need to wake up, and then it's like, oh no, you're too awake. It's like, but yeah, there are movies that I feel like push an agenda, but then I think sometimes we're so used to seeing certain things on screen all the time, like especially like pretty white actors and actresses were kind of the norm since the beginning of cinema. Like they got all the roles except for a few. So if you go to see a film that has a lot of people that aren't pretty white actors and actresses, it's kind of shell shock for society. But then you also have to look at like society, like with Final Destination, that was set in New York, and I said, we don't have to overdo it, but you can't go into a high school in New York and just see all white kids. So let's just make sure we have. And I wrote some diverse characters into the script, and there was nothing about them except the fact that they were a black character who was going through shit. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't a black movie. It didn't make it any kind of statement kind of movie. But they shot it in Canada. I think that's probably the problem. They shot it in Canada, and so when I see all the cast, I'm like, hey guys, they're all white. And this is supposed to be New York. I'm not trying to make a message, just trying to be realistic.
Yeah, I do think the horror genre has some catching up to do in that area, but I think hopefully anyway, we're starting to see it get there.
Yeah, no, I think audiences, they want a good scare, and they want interesting stories that they haven't seen. And yes, there's always going to be, which there's nothing wrong with, there's always going to be the section of horror films where they're just like, I want to go see boobs and blood, and that's good for them. Like, I'm not going to judge them. But I think, the horror films that actually do really, really well and usually are really successful can offer that stuff, but also offer a little bit more. But, again, like Final Destination, it's a great concept, but it's not like, people aren't leaving the movie talking about they're talking about how they may die. So I could be a little pretentious and be like, well, they are talking about their mortality now in a way that they weren't doing it before. Because they are, but they're really going, what if that thing fell over and knocked that thing over and killed me? You know what I'm saying? Like, right. So yeah, you can stir conversations, in these horror films, but a lot of times it's just about being a good fucking film. Like Invisible Man was amazing, I thought. James Wan's Invisible Man, I thought was an amazing horror film, and that dealt with like, abuse and trauma, but also told a really great story and really great acting and did really well.
Yeah, that was a really good movie. And
do you want to settle an argument for us real quick about Invisible Man?
Mm-hmm.
What did you think about the suit? I know, I'm so sorry.
I don't apologize.
What did you think about the suit in Invisible Man? Because we fight about this a lot.
I mean, the suit was ridiculous, but
yes,
no,
yes. Well, the only reason I think because there's I can't think of what it is, but there's some maybe it just reminds me of an octopus tentacle, but with refracting lights on it.
I always quote myself by saying "stupid fucking suit." That every time that movie comes up, phenomenal movie, done great. The suit, though, I agree.
But I didn't. But you know what? Only because I was settling an argument did I say that. Like I have never said when I described The Invisible Man, it's a great movie except for that suit. I think it's a great movie. But then if you ask me to really sit down and think about the suit, I'm like, well, that's kind of stupid.
I'll take that as a win because I was so excited for us to watch Invisible Man, and then this guy over here is like, what a stupid fucking suit, instead of commenting on what a fantastic movie it is.
Yeah, I spent half the episode complaining about the suit.
That's what I did, Jeffrey. For an hour, I just sat there and said "stupid fucking suit." That's it.
Right. I would say that's a kind of a kill buzz there, brother.
That's not what I did. They're exaggerating, but I'm glad you sided with me as much as they want to act like you did.
I know, and notice how I'm trying to both sides it here. Yeah. I'm trying to make everybody happy.
Oh man, Jeffrey, you've been very generous with your time. We appreciate you so much, sir.
Oh, please don't ever call me sir. That makes
gotcha.
That just makes me feel old.
Well, we appreciate your time nonetheless. Do you want to let everybody know where they can get in touch with you, Twitter, wherever else, whatever you want everybody to know?
Yeah, my address is whoa, Jeffrey, slow down there. No,
Twitter's don't give that out, or I'll be showing up at your house to watch Final Destination 6.
I know how you worked out. You're that guy. You're like, it said it was coming out on this date, and I'm there with my popcorn. You son of. You can follow me on Twitter or Instagram at Jeffrey Jeffrey A Reddick, so it's my first and last name with an A in the middle. And that's the best place to reach me. I'm horrible at social media, especially Instagram, because I'm a writer, so I don't have like a lot of stuff I'm doing. Like it's like, ooh, now I'm writing at my house, now I'm writing at Starbucks, now I'm writing, and I'm certainly not going to put pictures of me like with a shirt off writing, because that's what they like on Instagram, that fucking thirst trap piece of whatever.
I think that's for Tinder now. I think they changed it. I don't know. What I heard, I have no idea.
I don't know what Tinder is. Yeah, never heard of it. But yeah, that's where you can follow me. And I'm trying to get better at Twitter. Or better about staying off Twitter, I should say. But I like to get on there to follow more entertainment stuff, and I'm definitely love promoting when I see friends of mine who do things, or even if I catch something like a horror film that I think is amazing, from a new person, I like to get on there and like tweet about it, just because I love I just like promoting other people's shit. I'm not so good at promoting my stuff, but I like promoting other people's stuff. So yeah, you can always follow me on there, and then you all you've got my inside information, so
yeah. Rob's gonna be at your house with that popcorn.
But there's gonna I've got some interesting stuff going on down the road, so I'd love to come back. We'll make sure it doesn't take
yeah,
I'm embarrassed to even look back when we started this conversation. Now we'll make sure it happens like super quick the next time, instead of like a pandemic later.
Instead of February 1st, 2019.
Oh my God.
Jeez.
Oh no.
Holy crap.
We're here now. That's all that matters. That's the way I look at it. Here we are now. And I can't wait, like you said, when you got everything else that you got going on, we cannot wait to have you back on, Jeffrey. It's been an absolute pleasure. We appreciate it so much.
It has been. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you all. Absolutely. You all have a great night, okay?
You too.
Our great day. It's the next day there now, right?
Yes.
Crazy animals. It's Sunday there. Magic. All right. Have a great rest of your day, or go to bed. And then have a great day.
Good night.
Good night.
All right. Stupid shit. We're back. Jeffrey's fucking awesome, man.
Yeah, he was a really nice guy. Really liked talking to him.
Great conversation.
Yes. And you know, what's today's date? Okay, yeah, this is gonna come out. Okay, this is a perfect way to wrap up Pride Month then. I didn't know. Damn, we are so far into the month. Holy shit.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah.
Damn. I thought we had a whole nother week left in the month. I don't know what the hell. My goodness. But all right, what everybody's been waiting for, right?
Yes.
I might add the drum roll sound effect. Depends on how lazy I am in the post edit. We're waiting.
So there's no drum roll. That's what you're saying.
Probably gonna hear shit. I'm telling you right now. Kat.
Yes.
What happened with Mr. Cat's boyfriend guy?
Well, we spent we spent a day watching some Friday the 13th movies.
That's a good damn day.
It was a very good day. And there's an update. I don't want to go through the whole list, start to bottom. Like top to bottom, because we're only 2 movies away from having the entire franchise in here, right? So I would rather have a bigger reveal for that, especially because those 2 movies are my favorite and my least favorite Friday the 13th. So looking forward to that. But I do have
thought. My God, I still can't.
Wait. You've got Jason X
and 9. We've got 9. We haven't watched.
Oh, okay. Well,
Jason
you're not
Goes to
gonna do the remake or Freddy vs. Jason?
So we're ramping up for a bad remake day.
Oh, okay.
Where we're gonna watch like all the bad remakes together. Not all of them, but like 3 of them.
Yeah.
We're gonna make like a marathon day of it. So we saved Nightmare on Elm Street. We're gonna save Friday the 13th for a little while. We probably will watch Freddy vs. Jason once he watches Jason X though. And then cycle back around for bad remake day. But I do have, because I knew that you guys were probably going to ask if he had seen any horror movies, I figured it might come up organically. So I made sure to get a little teaser for you guys. And I just want to give you his bottom 3 slots from 1 to 8.
Oh, fuck.
So the top of the bottom 3, right? Like going from best to worst in the last 3 slots, we have Friday the 13th, part 8.
What's wrong
Jason
with him?
Takes Manhattan.
That's way too high.
Mr. Cat's boyfriend guy, what the hell, man? I thought we had a thing and everything was going great. Fucking Christ.
He also, we were talking about it because that was like the conclusion of our marathon that day, was we stopped with 8. So we were talking about it, and I asked if I could get his rankings for the show, and he thought it was very suspicious. Like once he was thinking about them in context of the show, he said he thought that if he were a New Yorker, right, he would not appreciate that this was Canada's opinion of what New York looked like. With like all the graffiti and the toxic waste buckets. And...
No, I think they nailed it.
He was very surprised that part 8 is your favorite, and he had a lot of the same complaints that Rob and I had. Mostly it's Jason on a boat.
That it's not good.
So he pretty much tried to sugarcoat it by shit talking the movie by saying, well, as a New Yorker you shouldn't feel. No, Mr. Cat's boyfriend guy, come on. It's a good movie. Watch it again. All right. And I'm sure Kat had her little digs in throughout the movie and she swayed you. Watch it again alone. And, this is absurd. I'm mad about it.
Here's a pro tip for you, Mr. Cat's boyfriend guy. Don't watch it again, ever.
Don't watch it again, and don't listen to Mikey. I will say the one area we really differed on with this one, he really liked the boxing scene. And
yeah. No, that's a good. That I actually do kind of. That's a
really?
fun kill. I like that one.
So he thought it was very fun. I think it's very campy, but it does really bother me that Jason just takes it for that long. Like, I don't know.
Because he knows.
I guess.
He's like, I'm gonna fuck you up when I'm ready. Yeah.
I think it's a good kill. It's just the amount of time leading up to it. It's very slow. He really appreciated this isn't a difference, but he did also really appreciate the sauna scene.
That's a good kill too.
It's a good kill.
Yeah.
The slot just below that is Friday the 13th, part 7.
All right.
Which is correct so far, I think. Because
I mean,
7.
I would put 7 above 8, but
you're insane.
Yeah, no.
7's not good either.
7's not good either, but man, come on. At least 8 was fun.
No.
You're just doing that to be a dick. There's no other reason. Yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
8 is not good.
Spiteful. Yeah, Kat, I don't even.
And 8 doesn't have Bernie from Weekend at Bernie's in it.
The bottom slot so far is Friday the 13th, part 3.
What?
Oh,
3 is a good one.
No, he thinks that 3 is worse than both 8 and 7.
That is ridiculous.
And also, I want to point out, we only went through the bottom 3, but 5 also ranked higher than 3.
Okay.
5 ranked higher than all of these.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to throw this out there as a vote. And
Okay.
Rob, I feel like you might be with me. Kat might be, a little biased. If this is egregious as it is, I'm in shock.
Yeah.
He should be ashamed of
It's
himself.
absurd.
But I feel like if by the end of this whole spree of movie watching that they got going on, the final 2, Rob, if after Jason Goes to Hell, part 3 is still the bottom of that list, we should never mention this man on the show again. Never.
It's quite possible. It's quite possible because
I'm throwing it out there.
there might be something wrong with him, Kat.
What the fuck? Part 3, really?
I like that we both have Friday the 13th hot takes.
Yeah.
I think his might actually be a little bit hotter than mine right now.
I would say so. 3 is a good one.
It's my favorite.
He does not like it.
I mean, it does. Look, 3 does suffer from the 3D stuff, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's because it's weird when like the yo-yos coming at the camera and stuff, and you're just like, what the fuck? What is this? Because you're not watching it in 3D. So it does suffer from that, but it's still a good one.
He also didn't like Shelley, and he didn't like the gang.
All right. Well, Shelley, I like Shelley. Shelley gets a lot of heat from people, but I like Shelley.
Friend of the show.
Yeah.
Larry's earned.
Yeah, Larry's awesome. And,
Larry's great.
And Shelley I like as a character. The gang, like, I don't like, what's wrong with the gang? They're just there to die.
I think he thinks it's like a very out of the way plot point just for the entire reveal of them not having gas to leave, which isn't entirely true because they are also there to die. Like
Right,
they're
just
to
there
increase
to
the
die.
body count. But he thinks it's a little far-fetched, and he didn't. I mean, like the whole acting and costumes thing, it has not held up. I think if you don't have the nostalgia for it.
I mean, if you're gonna have
Potentially.
if you're gonna have any complaint about 3, it's got to be the stupid flashback.
Yeah, that wasn't his top complaint, but it came up because it's not.
That's the thing that holds 3 back for me more than anything else. Everything else in 3 is fine. I don't understand this. I don't.
But it has all added up, and
every
now-
time I hear something more about this
Bottom
man, I
slot.
just shake my head and I don't understand.
You guys
Yes.
have to be really proud of him though, because
For what?
despite the hot takes, we spent our anniversary watching Friday the 13th movies this last
No.
week. So
That's
yeah,
please, are you kidding me? That's
and
the
it was his
perfect way.
idea.
That's the perfect way to spend an anniversary.
I know yeah, we're
No,
proud of him.
He
We're very
ruined
proud
it
of him
all.
this week.
they ruined it all. We're not proud of him at all. Like, there's no reason 3 should be at the bottom of that list. I'm sorry. And this is coming from someone who just got done defending Jason Takes Manhattan. For it to be even near it, like, shame on a blow. Oh my God. I'm getting more and more annoyed about it the more I think about it.
You could argue that he likes Jason Takes Manhattan more than you do, though, because he liked it more than 3. You didn't even like it more than 3.
No, yeah, no.
I mean, until this very moment, I had never even realized it was possible for someone to like it more than 3.
I didn't either.
Are you sure? Did he really watch 3?
Yeah.
Like, did he see it?
He did.
I don't. All right. Did you watch him watch it?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, kind of. I watched it.
So he
But he was there. He was next to me.
Yeah, he could have been on his phone. He
Yeah.
asleep.
He could have been counting like ceiling tiles or something. Like, who the fuck knows? He was doing something else.
Yeah.
He's probably playing with one of the cats. Like, there's no way. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be hard to watch a movie over at Cat's place with fucking 20 cats jumping around all over the place too.
It is very hard to watch stuff at my place.
I don't know what to say about this, really. I mean, far be it from me to tell somebody they're wrong, but Mr. Cat's boyfriend guy, get your head out of your ass. Come on.
Oh, man.
This is big boy stuff now.
You know, Rob, you know what I think we need? Me and you need to get in a car and drive over there.
Mm-hmm.
And me and you need to sit with him and watch him watch the movie. Just like you sit on his left, I sit on his right, and stare at him
while he watches the movie
the whole time. Yeah, and we'll get like one of those little like a. I don't want to say a stun gun because those, that's a little illegal. But just something that'll give him a quick little if he tries to look away. Because there's something, he's missing something.
You can own a cattle prod.
Well, can you?
Sure, they're like farm equipment.
Yeah, I don't want to hit him with a cattle prod. Seems like a nice guy. He's just misled.
All right, well.
Let's wait to see where 9 falls, right?
I mean, it could be fun.
And Jason X.
we do that, and then we'll all go see Fish.
No, we can't hold on. Kat is going to talk up Jason X, and he'll think she'll break up with him if he doesn't love that movie. He's gonna love it. It's gonna be above 3, no doubt. But if 9, we got to talk about stuff. I'll be damned.
If 9 is above 3.
I would be so proud of him if his list goes from Jason X to Friday the 13th Part 3. That would be some of the wildest shit I've ever heard.
You'd be proud of that?
Oh, yeah, you've got to be, right?
No. If 9 is if 3 is below 9, we're talking cattle prod.
He's gunning to unthrone me from my hot takes.
All right.
Wow.
I mean, I don't know how we've ended up here. I don't know. I feel like Kat steered him wrong along the way somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm trying really hard. Like, I mean, mistakes have been made. I didn't know when we started hanging out that we would end up together. I didn't know that I would be responsible for his viewing order of things. So like, I talk about this sometimes, but like, he did see one of the first horror movies he ever saw was the Black Christmas remake, because he was there with me, and I will always feel responsible that he saw that before he saw, real Black Christmas. But for the most part,
he didn't like Black Goo Christmas, did he?
Yeah, he said it was fine. But like he had no point of reference.
It's
also.
not fine. No,
it's not.
He hadn't seen another horror movie, but he had seen other movies, right? He had heard people tell other stories.
Well,
there's no excuse for that.
Yeah. I mean, it's not great, but like, he's getting. I try though. Like, we're watching all the classics, and
yeah.
Well,
Well,
we're going through it.
I don't know if he should be allowed to watch the classics anymore.
I'm a little let down.
I'm the one who always defends him too. Like this is, and I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
You let me down, buddy. I'm upset.
Yeah, I mean, really, I think what it gets down to, Mr. Cat's boyfriend guy, you got to try harder. You got to try harder to be right.
I feel like me and you staring at him while he's watching the movie will help.
Might.
He might be unsettled, though. Also,
yeah, for what? It'd be fine.
Yeah, why? Why would he be unsettled?
Yeah.
Well, the cattle prod.
No, the cattle prod's only if 9 beats out.
No, I'll keep it on the other side. He won't even know it's there.
Oh, okay.
Unless he looks away from the movie.
Yeah, unless he starts to doze off or doesn't pay attention. Then he'll learn real goddamn quick it's there.
The poor guy.
Yeah,
this is gonna be another one where he goes around. I think Rob doesn't like me.
I think this is a reflection on you, Kat.
Yeah.
What?
Agreed.
I do think part of this is a reflection on you, and as your mentor, I'm very disappointed.
No, you know what? I think that's good. I think that this is good if it's a reflection on me because even though we disagree on the rankings, I have encouraged him to be honest regardless of how hot the take is. And I think I did that with Jason X. So
have we learned nothing from Greg?
I'm very
that's what you're going to be, Mr. Cat's boyfriend guy. You're going to be the new Greg.
Oh, you're not going to be the new Greg.
That's going to be your new name, the new Greg.
No.
Greg, we'll call you Greg Jr.
Holy shit. Kat, even you got to admit, if 9 beats out 3, that is some shit Greg would say.
That does sound like a Greg take.
In fact, I'd be shocked if Greg didn't think that.
But you also called me the new Greg for saying that X was the best one. So
it ain't that bad. That's bad, but it ain't 9 better than 3 bad. Oh shit.
Yeah, I mean it's all fine and good to have your own opinions, but at some point you got to conform a little bit.
It's called doing the right thing.
Yeah.
No. Shit.
I honestly think he's just being difficult.
I don't think so.
Be difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit. Oh man. Kat, I feel like it's what 2:30 in the morning right now. Call him over now and have him watch this. I can't wait to hear this. He's got to watch 9 and 3 right now. 9 and X.
We're gonna watch 9 and X. I'm excited.
I don't know. I mean, I'm feeling a Slasher Radio and Cat's boyfriend guy watch along for number 3.
3 for when he's already seen. He's got so many movies to watch.
He apparently needs to rewatch 3.
He's not gonna like it more if you make him watch it more.
He might.
He will watch it until he likes it.
We get like one of those ransom notes, but it's just like I like 3 now, I promise.
It's like when you get caught smoking and your parents make you smoke the whole carton. but sort of the opposite because they're trying to make you hate smoking. I'm gonna make him like 3.
Well, I mean, it works because you overload them with smoke.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's gonna get overloaded with Jason in 3D and Shelly.
Oh.
He writes the ransom note and he's twitching. Poor guy. Holy shit.
How much a cattle prod cost?
Oh no.
I don't know. Let me see. All right. Well, we're gonna start wrapping up this show. They cost about $45.
You can get one on Amazon, $45.
Easy. Oh
Yeah.
wow. Well, that thing's even got like that's the 2 for the little fork. Oh, that'll hurt
Yeah,
somebody.
yeah, that's a good one.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Wait. Oh.
Oh, wait a minute. This one says newest waterproof. Oh, it's waterproof too. That's good. No, you guys give it to somebody in the rain. Waterproof cattle prod shaft. Only shaft. I don't know what that means. Only shaft. The fuck?
Oh, that's just the shaft. It doesn't have the prod part on it.
Oh, what the fuck with that?
I don't know. Nothing. Hold on. I'll find this one. Don't worry about it.
All right. Yeah.
Oh, this one plugs in.
Oh, we got to get an extension, like one of the big ones.
Yeah.
I got a big one in the shed. I got one of those really long orange where we'll be fine.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. We're coming, Kat.
Yeah, don't worry. We're gonna fix this.
Oh,
here's a YouTube video titled "Does a Cattle Prod Hurt?" Well, what the fuck do you think, you dumbass?
Send me that video when we're done with this, please. That's gotta be funny. You know, I hope Jeffrey turned the show off by now.
I hope so too.
Me too.
I'm sure he did. Would you listen to this nonsense?
Probably not. Probably not. All right. Well, that's Jeffrey Reddick. We appreciate you stopping by. That was an awesome interview, awesome discussion. Can't wait to have him on again. I would like to consider him a friend of the show. I hope he does the same. It was an awesome conversation, and
it was fun talking to him. And I do hope we can have have him back on and talk about like some of his favorite horror movies and that sort of thing. Would be fun.
Yeah,
because we didn't really get into that much.
Doesn't take 3 years to do that. Hopefully, let's see.
No. Mr. Cat's boyfriend guy, you're welcome to come on the show and defend yourself at any time. But
what do you think the odds of that are, Cat?
Are ordering a cattle prod.
We're looking into it. We're not ordering it.
Yeah, nobody's purchased anything yet.
No. Rob, I don't know if that's a cattle prod. That's more like a taser, man.
Yeah, I noticed that when I saw the thing. I just saw the title, and then when I clicked on it, it was like, yeah, it's more of a taser than a cattle prod.
But that might be better. Like he'll see the cattle prod coming. The taser you can just pull out.
Yeah, you can kind of sneak that in. Yeah.
yeah, that would be better. I don't know. We've resorted to threatening.
I know.
Check us out at slashradio.com. Find all of our articles, episodes, interviews. You can also check out our Twitter, /radio, at /radio on Twitter. This interview happened last second. As you heard, we've been trying to set it up for a while, scheduling. Jeffrey's a very busy man. So, just a lot of bouncing around and shit happens quickly. So next week will be the Patreon pick. And if you follow us on Twitter, you'll, be informed of all this stuff ahead of time. So, and the Patreon too helps out. There's something out on the Patreon, patreon.com/radio. Please support the show.
Yep. Stop being a cheap bastard. Come on.
We're getting a cattle prod.
Yeah. We got to buy a cattle prod. We got to pay for gas to get to Cleveland.
Not only that, I mean, if we have a cattle prod, you might want to be on the right side of things, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. I will start finding you people. Give us their address where they listen.
I'm coming to people's fucking houses and just.
Oh, you've been listening for free for how long? 3 years? Motherfucker.
Unbelievable.
We can't threaten people publicly.
That's what the Patreon power rankings are for.
That's privately. That's behind a
paywall. Yeah.
I'm not doing that shit publicly. They don't know what you said on there. Even though you were fucked up on that show.
No, I think I did the right thing.
Poor Nesto. I'm gonna feel bad for Nesto for a long time. Just saying. I think
I'm gonna look into some of those pendants that they're like the best friends with the heart that's like in half. I can wear one half and Nesto can wear the other.
That is fucking funny. You're pissing him off right now. You know that, right?
No, he's my buddy.
I'm at Mikey's Dead on Twitter if you would like to follow me. Oh, fuck. Yeah, so really quick. Apparently I got an early access thing to VHS. That new game that's been, coming out. A lot of people are talking about it. I haven't gotten to play it yet as of this recording, but I gave a key out. They gave me a couple extra of those early access keys for Steam. There's a tweet on there. I gave one out. We're on our way to giving out the second one, so make sure you follow us on Twitter to keep in touch with this stuff.
Yeah.
So by next week, I will play it. I'll probably stream it, and I will let you guys know what I think.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been nice if you could have told me about it, but
did tell you about it.
Did.
Yeah, I believe you said, "What the hell is that?" or something along that line.
I'm looking at it right now.
Oh no, what you said exactly was, "What the fuck are you two babbling about?" That's what you said.
I will admit that does sound like me, but I don't recall this.
That's what you said, and then we didn't hear from you for 2 days. At /radio on Twitter and at Mikey's Dead on Twitter. Follow the show, follow me, and don't bother me too much.
I am also on Twitter at Radio Rob123, and you can listen to my other show, This Horror Life, wherever you are listening to Slasher Radio. Newest episode just came out, and guest host is Kat Valor.
So she's not banned yet?
No, Kat's not banned.
No, I'm unbanned.
So does this give Kat any percentage of say with the mascot thing?
No.
Not even like 5%? Like she hosted a whole show.
No.
Well, you have a lot of say. So what about you?
No. It's just no to everything.
Oh.
Everything you're saying, everything you say to me, the answer's no.
I bought this whole cool fucking outfit. Man.
Does it have the Italian flag on it?
No.
That might change his mind.
Could you imagine if say Rob agreed to it, he got to pick the outfit. Could you imagine?
Oh, you'd be dressed up like Chef Boyardee. Now you need Yeah, I'm trying to think. You're not banned, are you, Mikey?
Yeah, you banned me.
Yeah.
Again.
Oh,
yeah,
I did. Okay.
Yeah, remember you unbanned me, and then at the
I
end
didn't unban you. That was not my call.
Well, you agreed to let me stay on that show.
Yeah, but then you got banned for something.
Right. I forget what I did.
I don't remember.
Yeah, and then you banned me again, so I'm currently banned.
Yeah, no, Kat's never been banned from the show.
Threatened.
Yeah, I was threatened.
Well,
but
I mean,
I'm back.
Come on, Kat.
What was the topic of the show?
Martyrs.
No, this last one.
The new ones. Our top 5 foreign horror movies.
Oh, she didn't get banned for that?
She didn't pick it.
Yeah, I didn't pick it.
Yeah,
that's the difference. I've learned I can talk about Martyrs as long as I'm not the one picking it.
Mm-hmm.
Because then I had to make Rob watch Martyrs, which was actually the bannable offense.
Yeah. Yeah, and we couldn't have you on for that because you would always watch them without subtitles. So.
Yeah, I wouldn't be very well versed in that topic. But yeah, I would think a Kat Valor foreign movie list, it just sounds like it's bannable. I'm surprised.
No, it was fun. We had a good time.
Yeah.
Turns out the recording with Kat's fun when you're not there.
Holy shit.
We were both very well behaved.
This is bullshit. Yeah, and Kat, now I can maybe even put Kat where she acts better on This Horror Life now. She didn't give her boyfriend shitty takes on that show.
I don't think Mr. Kat's boyfriend guy came up on that show.
See?
No.
I remember. Although I'm guessing, has he seen a lot of foreign horror?
No, not a lot of it.
Yeah.
Yet.
Yeah, brace yourself for Martyrs, buddy.
He's going to think all of them are better than Friday the 13th Part 2.
Yeah. God damn it. I'm really starting to not like this guy. I don't even know.
I like him. I truly do.
I want to, but you make it so goddamn hard.
I want to love the man. I do love the man, but he's making us get a fucking cattle prod. I'm not happy about it. Kat, where are they finding you?
You can find me on Twitter at cat_Valor, VOLEUR. You can also check out my website, catvalor.com.
I feel like you need to get like an Expedia thing, catvalor.com or something like that.
I need a jingle.
Yeah.
Where I just spell Valor.
Yeah. I like that, cat_Valor. Guys, come back, check us out next week. Make sure you sign up for the Patreon. If you want a say in next week's topic, you can do that at patreon.com/Slasher Radio. Until then, good night from Slasher Radio.
All the best of Slasher Radio podcast.
You want the best for your child. K-12 can help them gain the skills they need to reach their full potential while giving you the support you need to get them there. K-12-powered schools are tuition-free, accredited online public schools for students in kindergarten through 12th grade. Their state-certified teachers make online learning interactive and engaging, allowing your child to learn at their pace from the safety of home. Join the more than 3 million families who have chosen K-12. Go to k12.com/podcast today to learn more. That's k12.com/podcast.
Stop by Sherwin-Williams and get 30% off select paints and stains June 13th through the 23rd. It's the perfect time to transform your space with color. Refresh your home inside and out with colors that make every space feel brand new. From cozy interiors to stunning exteriors, we've got the perfect shade for your next project. Shop the sale online or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Click the banner to learn more. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.